The following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and...
Wait, Diana, is that a mouth on your shoulder?
What? Oh, that? Well, we all have those, right?
Yeah, sure. Totally normal.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. Evil is coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm horrified.
And I'm not really talking out of my face, but out of a mouth that's now on my shoulder.
Ooh, you're so lucky because it's a dream come true for you because now you can just talk to yourself all the time.
I can. Oh my god, I can. Oh my god.
Wow, I've been replaced by a shoulder. So sad.
This week, folks, we're going to be discussing the penultimate, I love that word, episode, Season 2 of Fallout. Title of this episode is The Handoff. So episode 7, the episode before the finale, I guess you could call it. Pre-finale, the pre-finale. Which typically in most shows that we cover, usually there's a lot that happens in that, episode right before the finale. And I'd say that this one did a pretty good job of that. Before we get into our top moments from the episode, we usually like to just do a real quick rapid fire of what we thought of the episode overall. I went first last week, so it's your turn to go first. So Steve, what did you think of episode 7, The Handoff?
Oh my god, it was so much good stuff. From a gaming standpoint, there are a couple of just massive things. I was over the weekend, I was kind of checking out on the social media to see the gamer reaction because I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And so
what was that again?
Was quite,
what was that reaction again?
It was just kind of a ooh, ooh, ooh. But this was quite common. I mean, a lot of the gamers were very, very much like, "Did you? Oh my God! Does that mean what we think it means?" And I can't believe they did that. And so some really interesting stuff in terms of making the video games even more of the canon of the show, which is really great. And so I love that. And there were some just very, very funny moments in the show. And they, like you said, I agree with you that I think they did a good job of really pushing the plot forward to to next week. Although don't you get the sense that, next week is not really going to wrap up the storyline, but just sort of bring it to almost like the halfway point of the story.
Yeah, it feels like next week will be like not a wrap up, but more of a everything sort of intersecting at once, but to sort of cause an explosion that will involve us needing even more information and more storyline, etc.
Right. Yeah. And I feel the same thing. I feel the same way. And I liked that they touched on all the stories in this one, although, oh my God, could we please get a little bit Norm? A little bit more?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, I gotta know what happened.
I know. That was a killer. No pun intended.
Yeah, you're just like, gee, what are you talking about? We got to figure it out. Show what happened. Yeah, but other than that, I thought this was a great Steph episode. There's some great Chet moments. Obviously Lucy and Hank. I mean, everything. It was just a lot of great stuff. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. I thought it was really put together well. It moved well. Only 48 minutes, I think, after the previously ended. So it didn't seem overly long, but man, there's a lot crammed into it.
It sure is.
So
yeah, I really, really love this one. I felt too like this was yet another episode where they did a really great job of marrying current timeline and like previous timeline, like imagery, like having it like the like the blood and the stuff or whatever, like little things like that. They do such a good attention to detail to get the two storylines so that you don't feel like you have such a segmented, like, this is the past and this is the current time. They sort of do a good job of making sure that the themes are lining up, that there's imagery that connects everything together, and I think they did more of that this episode as well. And like you were saying, I mean, I don't know the gamer stuff, but man, the storyline stuff, that, like you said, I agree. We hit on everything. Just that teeny tiny teaser for Norm. Ah, I hope he's okay. But that was rough. But I'm glad they checked in a little bit. And then we saw all of our other people. So yeah, I'm really excited for next week's episode, or this week's episode, tomorrow's episode. Sorry.
I know, it's so weird,
it's right
right?
There. It's right
wait,
there.
There's another episode coming. Oh my god!
It's almost like it's within my grasp, and I can just reach out and touch it. It's like right there. It's right over there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So before we get into individual points, we're also going to remind you a little bit episode description, let you remember what the episode was about before we get into it, and also talk a little bit about the writer and the director. Now, the writer and the director, that's a quick one, but you're gonna have to, we've been advising every week to make sure that take a break. Maybe you get up and go to the bathroom while we talk the episode description, because it just goes on and on and on. So, So Steve, if you want to go ahead and get started there, that'd be great.
Okay, well, yeah, so make sure you've loaded up on vitamin D before we begin.
Yes.
So our episode description, and yes, once again, we are talking about the Amazon Prime series Fallout, and this is season 2, episode 7. The title is The Handoff. Mm-hmm. And which is very football-y, which is kind of appropriate given the time of the year here. But the description that we have is, you always end up back where you started. And that is your episode description. And for everyone who had Maximus in the drinking game, yes, that's right, people. It's your turn to take a shot of Malort, because yes, Maximus did indeed say this particular episode description in the episode. So there you go.
It's pretty I mean, obviously it's a little on the nose, but it's totally true. Pretty much that's what other than Norm, I'd say a lot of these storylines, tie right into that phrase. But that's it.
Oh, God, yeah,
but that's
absolutely.
It. No other storyline information. Just you always end up where you started. That's it. That's all we're gonna tell you.
Yeah, and that kind of seems to be the theme here, that they're going with these very general, not show specific. I mean, if you were to look at these episode descriptions, you wouldn't know who's in the show, you wouldn't know where it's taking place, you wouldn't know anything. I mean, it would just, it's just sort of, you're like, oh, I don't know what that means. I guess I got to watch it. And we talked about this a little bit previously, in that clearly they do not want to spoil, and clearly there's so much going on. It's really difficult to make a kind of a digestible episode description without writing pages. So they just decided, screw it, we're just going to go with this kind of cryptic one sentence thing because, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
hey, I've enjoyed it. It's been so funny every week to try and figure out what will this week's like 5-word description be. And, this week they actually gave us like 7 or 8 words, which is, very surprising.
Yeah, right. And it worked.
It did.
So, all right. So let's move on to our writer and our director. And we have a little bit of new and a little bit of old this time. Mm-hmm. And starting with the new, our writer is a dude named Kieran Fitzgerald. Mm. And again, like every other writer seemingly that we've talked about, he is a producer of Fallout. Okay. Now, not an executive, but just more of a line producer. So more of a, on the set solving problems kind of a producer, not so much the sitting at the top looking down, orchestrating everything kind of executive producer. But he has written some other stuff. He's produced a couple other things. Not as much of a past work history for this dude, but he wrote the screenplay of the movie Snowden from about, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the biggest thing he did. He produced and wrote episodes of a show called Wormwood, which I don't know if you remember that show. I remember it. I did not watch it.
Yeah, I remember the title,
And
but again, like you, I did not watch it.
yeah, yeah. And then he was involved on another show called The Homesman that I am not familiar with. So, but those are kind of like the big things. And other than that, he did a lot of like independent like short films and things like that. So I think that must have been when he was just starting, and then he obviously worked his way up into bigger and bigger stuff until here he is.
Yeah.
So, and then our director is a guy that we've talked about in the past, and that's a guy named Stephen Williams. We talked about him in episode 2.4, The Demon in the Snow, because he directed that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, he is the guy who he was a producer on Lost for 74 episodes.
Yep.
He directed an episode of The Last of Us entitled season 2 entitled Feel Her Love. He was an executive producer on a miniseries called Saint X, which is important to me because it stars my future Australian ex-wife, Alicia Debnam Carey. And then, of course, he directed one episode of The Walking Dead, and that is, of course, the episode entitled Here's Not Here, which is, as we said back when we reviewed season 2.4, that is the Cheesemaker episode with Morgan. So that, again, out of all the episodes of Walking Dead to direct, that's the one that he got, Anyway, that is our director and our writer. And again, I think they both did a really good job. I think the script is, I mean, there are just some laugh out loud funny moments in this script.
Yeah.
And some of it is just pure comedy, but there is also like a lot of like, oh my God, this is horrific what's going on, but you can't help but laugh.
Yeah, like when people's arms fall off, stuff like that.
Exactly, things like that where you're like, I really like this person. Why are they doing this to him? But and at the same time, I thought the direction was really good, and the way that way he shoots stuff and his choices in editing and things. I think both of them did a really good job. So that is our writer and our director.
Excellent. So jumping in to our top 5 moments, it'll be easy to get the ball rolling because you and I both obviously talked about the cold open in our top moments. I just overall the whole thing really speaks to Steph has always had this very like, oh, I don't know, homicidal maniac sort of like streak that you're like, I don't quite like narcissist, like crazy person, but getting the roots of how that started, I mean, it's a brutal beginning for her. And part of that brutality is that line from her, it's her mom, correct?
It is her mother, yes.
And you included it on your notes, so let's chat through that and the stuff with her mom.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, again, we kind of talked about it, the cameos. I mean, freaking Nastasha Henstridge is her mom. I mean, oh my God, what a sci-fi icon, right? She was, of course, the star of the Species series. She's in John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars. I mean, yeah, she made a ton of genre pictures. Amazing pull for them to get her for what was like, what?
Yeah.
2 scenes,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, that was so cool. Because they showed her and I'm like, is that that? And then I literally like paused it and went to the cast option, on Amazon, and I scrolled through it. I'm like, holy crap, it is her. So yeah, that was super cool. And so yeah, they're like running through the woods, right? And we see they're running out of the Uranium City internment camp. You see the sign there, and they're being chased by a vertibird, and there's a Marine, a United States Marine in power armor that says, "Get back in there, you hosers," which is hilarious. And then he gets taken out by like a suicide bomber, but Joan, which is Steph's mom's name, she gets wounded in that explosion, and so she tells Steph, look, you keep running, okay?
Yeah.
Don't worry about me, all right? I'm done. That's fine. You need to survive no matter what. And it's great because she, like in this, like there's like this 30-second scene between them where she basically gives Steph her marching orders for her life, right? That it's like, you survive no matter what it takes. If you have to hurt people, you hurt them. You don't think twice. You don't blink. You do whatever you have to do to survive. And she even throws in the, like, there's a flood coming, and so you find a way to keep your head above water. I mean, she's throwing all these parables and allegories in and everything, and then literally she's like, you know what, they're gonna try and stop you, and if you got to kill them, you freaking kill them. And she goes, don't think of them as human beings, think of them as Americans.
It's just a great line. Yeah.
Oh, so wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and of course Steph, this is like Steph's like, moment where she's no longer a child, right? Like she grows up in this moment, and she is crying, and she leaves her mom, and she keeps going, and then she gets to like the border crossing, and she's just walking right through, and suddenly like this really like arrogant douchebag American guy's like, "Hey, sweetheart, can I see your passport?" And she stops, and the look on her face is just like, "Oh, dude, you just made a critical error." And and then the next scene is her walking away, and he's like got a knife in his belly, and he's, dead in a pool of blood. It's just right there. You're like, yep, that's Steph.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, you didn't know what made her who she is until you saw it, but then you saw it and you're like, yeah, that's what made her. That makes absolute total sense.
It does, yeah. And you're just like, you know what? She literally, like, everything her mom says to her, I mean, that was like ingrained in her.
Yeah.
And that she just, yep, that's what my mother told me, and I'm living my life that way. And it's worked. I mean, look at her, and again, I know this is one of your I think it's one of your honorable mentions, but we get we get two Steph before time cameo appearances that are, and that one was great too, where you're like, now it's even all more coming together. So
yeah, we got answers to is she really from Canada, and was that ID absolutely true? And if she's from Canada, how did she end up in the States? And if she's not even like an American citizen, how did she end up in the vaults? So we got a lot of answers on the Canada stuff. How she ends up in the vaults, we kind of see how she sort of pointed in that direction. We don't see like I absolutely positive. I mean, whatever's in that box directly relates to how she got into the vaults with sidling up
with
to Hank or whatever.
Yep.
So
it's funny because I'm sorry to interrupt, but for a brief moment I was like, oh my God, could Steph be Lucy's mom? And I'm like, no, that's incredibly stupid. I can't. But I had that thought of like, would they do that? Like, she like had to like, sleep with Hank to get a job at Voltec, and she ended up getting preggers of it. I'm like, oh no, the timeline totally doesn't work. We're good. We're good.
Yeah. So. But you feel like there's got to be something else that she's gonna like hold against him to be able to get it, because she's smart. Like, and maybe it's her Canada ID is hidden away, so did Hank even know? Like, does she impersonate some other person and gets in on their name? Who know? We don't know yet. the box holds the key, I think.
Yep.
So two more things I wanted to talk about with that cold open, which is I was talking at the top about how the imagery has been really great with this show, where it sort of bridges, the story from the past lining right up with the story of the future. For example, in the last episode when, the Ghoul and Coop, they were looking in the same direction, and they went back and forth between the image of his old face as Coop and his new face as the Ghoul, and that one where he's laying on the bed and leaning back, and it's exactly the same pose as when he's on the pole, stuff like that. And they've done such a great job of marrying those two storylines together right as they're telling them. So with Steph, she's got this whole remembrance she's having of when she does her border crossing, when she's, how she's taking her mom's words to heart, don't, do what you have to do. Don't, rise above at any cost. Do what you have to do. Don't hesitate. And meanwhile, in the current times, she's woken up and she's in the bathroom and she's brushing her teeth. And, in the story, we get, hey, pretty girl, you got a passport? And then she turns, looks at him, it flips back to the present time. Steph finishes up her, brush, spits, and her spit is filled with blood. And then it goes back to the before time guy. And the dead border car there. And I just thought that combination together, and like I said, they've been doing this since day one, creating this like sort of symmetry between the images, like making sure that it all goes together. And then what's great is that's the cold open, and right after it goes right into the title, which we both included as well, which they take that same imagery, and like we've been saying since day one, they take that imagery from the episode and then marry it into the title. And the title card is just the plain title card, and then it starts to fill with blood with the Canada National Anthem playing in the background. And it's it's chef's kiss. It's lovely.
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know you included it as well. It's just really well. They have had that symmetry all season of, you go from a scene that's out in the cold, like the Alaska with Coop, and when it goes away from that, it goes into the title, and it's ice and it breaks, and like everything's gone together so well, and this is another example of it. When they do this, it makes me really excited. As soon as it's finished, I'm like, I can't wait to see what they do next week. Which that's great. That's a really great thing for them. That we look forward to the episode, obviously the story and the storylines, but it's these little moments too that also are just they're just so much fun. I love it.
Yeah. Plus, I also love just the idea that as she's brushing her teeth and she's clearly like reliving the border crossing moment, and she's and yet she is brushing so hard, right, that she's literally causing her gums to bleed, and she's just oblivious to it because she's just so focused on remembering that horrible moment when her mom gets killed, and she crosses, and all that, and she just it was just really incredible, and like we said, it's like after you watch that scene, you're like, oh, I totally get Steph now.
Yeah, she's a paranoid schizophrenic. It makes absolute sense. I don't know.
It's just, for me, it's just like, she clearly is a survive at all costs kind of person.
Oh, God,
that, she has allegiance to one person, and that's her.
Yeah, she has. And I now we know, like, it's anytime she does something terrible, she has, the voice of her mom in her head, encouraging her along. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. They're just Americans.
She's not wrong. She's totally not wrong. We are just Americans. So the other thing I wanted to, it's in my honorable mentions, but since we're talking about that whole sort of scene, I wanted to talk for a second about the fact that we learned that there are labor camps in Canada. And I wanted to know, first of all, is that something that's in the game? Like, is Canada brought into the conversation at all in the game?
Yes, but very abstractly. And basically in like a situation that could never ever happen in real life and not even ever be like discussed in real life. In the game, the United States annexes Canada and turns it into a state, which is, I mean, as I said, preposterous, right? You know.
Yep.
And this is before the Great War happens. This is before the bombs drop and all that stuff.
Right.
And so they do that, and that's why, you know, one of my notes was at the end of the episode, the animation you get is sort of this like drone, but it's obviously a cartoon, but it's drone moving across the border.
Yeah.
You know, going from Canada into the U.S. and like there's a big sign that says "Welcome to Canada," and it's, you know, someone is, you know, graffitied over it saying United States, and and there are a couple of Canadian Mountie guys that clearly have been hung, and their corpses are like just still on the border sign, you know, they're hanging there. And there's another thing that someone has written over Canada. It says like leaving Canada, and they've spray painted over it, and they wrote the Big 51. You know, which again is just, I mean, no current politicians have ever uttered anything of that, you know, recently, but they do that in the game, and the one thing that they talk about is the Uranium City internment camp. But there are mention of others as well, but that's the only one that's ever named. And again, you never go there, you don't see it. It's just sort of like talked about. And so that is a direct pull from the game, like from the history of the universe of the game, but it's not something that actually, it's not a location that you would go to in the game.
Well, then that's a great thing to pull from, is, you know, it's there and it's in the game as a definite location. So why not include it in the show, considering that, you know, I'm not sure, based on the fact that she leaves there, we will ever see it. We don't need to see it because it just is mentioned and it's a real place that exists within the world of the game. So it just adds that many more layers of authenticity to the story, which is just great. I love that they do that. Yeah, all right. So we kind of covered our first and second points, so why don't we talk we did a really good job here of mirroring each other. So we both have points from the Ghoul and Maximus scene that we get, but yours is more towards the end and mine's at the beginning of the scene. So we get Maximus and Thaddeus and the Ghoul are now on another journey, as it were, because they, you know, come to an agreement of some kind about how they're gonna help each other out. And you know, he's still got Maximus still has the relic, he has the cold fusion, and it's funny, there's this really great moment where they're going someplace, and at first they get angry because they're like, well, where are you going? He's like, the Lucky 58, and Thaddeus immediately is like, oh, yeah, that's the other direction. I don't know if you knew that. And he's like, yeah, but to get there, we need some stuff, and that's where we're heading, basically. So there's a moment where Thaddeus and Maximus are talking a little bit, and then the Ghoul is like, what I really want to know is, how is it that you have it? And then he's like, open your hand. Because he knows that he's got the cold fusion. And we know that running parallel to this is the story from the past of him working with Barb, trying to get they got that cold fusion away from Hank, and all of that. So we know that that's sort of going on. So Coop has way more connection to the cold fusion stuff than we ever knew before. He's so much more entrenched in what happened. I cannot wait for them to show us what happened on the day the bombs dropped, or what, there's still a big chunk that's missing. But anyway,
Yes.
So they have this moment, and he's really trying to get it from, you can see he wants to take it from Maximus. And he's got the gun right in Maximus's face, and Maximus he's not bending. And he says to him that it's for Lucy. And he says, she's a good person. She'll do the right thing with it. And the ghoul's reaction to that is just so telling. He sits, thinks about it for a second, and smiles, and is like, he doesn't say a word. He just, a little tiny grin, and he drops the gun off of Maximus. So ultimately, he must agree a little bit that, yes, the cold fusion belongs in the hands of someone who will do good with it, because that's exactly what he was trying to do back in the past. It's not that, this energy exists already. And rather than give it to someone who'll use it for ill, if we give it to someone who'll use it for good, then, maybe we can say that we helped out a little bit. And so he's already got that background. And then he sees Maximus, and Maximus's whole thing is, we shouldn't have this. If I give it to Lucy, she'll do the right thing with it because she's a good person. And as much as he hates to admit it, the ghoul has to agree Lucy is a good person, and he knows that. Golden rule, motherfucker. So yeah, so I loved that part of the scene where, and it's also Maximus's, he's just so strong in that moment. He's not going to give. He's very honest. This is going to Lucy. That's all there is to it, pretty much. And I think in that, the ghoul sees the strength in Maximus that he's not going to budge on this. And then that's just the end of that moment. So just really great. Love that moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that whole sequence was amazing. Because last week we got the bit where Thaddeus is like, so we're going to sell this, right?
Yeah, this was going on the market, right?
Yeah, and the whole conversation about good people, and he's like, there are no good people. His entire life Thaddeus had never met a good person. And all of that, and Thaddeus proposes this idea of, look, if we sell it, we'll be rich, and then we will have the money to be good people. And this sort of flawed logic approach to it of like, well, we have to do something awful in order to have the ability to do great stuff, and of course Maximus is just not having any of it. And then this time around the ghoul's like, what does the ghoul say a little bit later on, where he's like, in order to rescue a good person, you have to give that thing to a bad person.
Yes.
And that's sort of like it's sort of like, you're right that they're all, at the beginning you think they're all on the same page, and they're like, we're all going to go try and rescue Lucy. And so they're, he's taking them to this sort of like warehouse, this NCR warehouse where there's all these weapons and ammunition and grenades and stuff like that. And he's like, well, in order to get to your girlfriend, we have to get through a pack of death claws, and that whole thing, right? So he's like, we need some firepower to do that. But then once they get there, that's when you find out, the ghoul isn't doing this out of the goodness of his, cold and dead heart. Right. Because Max even asks him, like, why are you even helping? Right. And he's like, well, that's true. Ain't nothing in this world for free, and so that's what he basically says. If you want me to get your girlfriend back, it's going to cost you the cold fusion. And I believe that's where Max says the episode description.
Yeah.
In that moment, and he's like, well, you always end up back where you started, right? And so he ends up giving the ghoul the vial and everything. And yeah, I love that scene. I thought that scene was awesome. and of course, my note or my point was a little bit later on in that scene when they're in the warehouse, and they're looking at all the different guns, and you see the ghoul like refilling his satchel with all these grenades, and it's sort of like kids in a candy store, which I should point out, total game like moment, where you'll come upon an army base or some like building structure like this, and there'll be like a cache of weapons, and you just are like, sticky fingers, right? You take everything. You just clear the shelves, whether you need it or not, you take it, right? And because a lot of stuff in Fallout, you can go to a town and you can sell all that stuff for caps.
Oh.
And then you can turn around and buy stuff that you need with it, and so on. And so, yeah, you're always raiding and picking and doing all that. So that was wonderful. But in there, the ghoul cuts off this sheet, and there's a suit of power armor, and it's got it's like. I checked online. I also talked with a bunch of my friends who play Fallout, and I'm like, is that a suit of armor from New Vegas? Because in New Vegas, when you play it, there's only like one set of power armor in the whole game that you can find and wear.
Okay.
And that's different. Like in Fallout 4, I mean, you like every corner there's like a suit of power armor, and like literally you can collect it, and you can have like 30 suits of it if you want, you know what I mean? That's just everywhere. And I think that's just a reaction to the fans. I think the fan outcry of hey, the power armor is the thing that we like to use, and it sucks that in some games you have to receive special training before you can use it, and in other games like New Vegas, there's only one set, the whole town, there's one, and like I said, in New Vegas, I believe there are two, but anyway, it's very, very few, and I'm like, that wasn't one of them, was it? And they're like, and again, New Vegas came out like 12 years ago, and so a lot of us are like, it's a little dim in the memory.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm not, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not sure, and I don't think so. I think this was a suit that they created for the show.
Okay.
And it's got the blades on the forearms, right? And so it's kind of like a close combat suit.
Okay.
It's not like, if you notice, Max doesn't have a gun. He literally is fighting the Deathclaws and just kind of slicing their fingers off and, cutting their heads off with these blades and stuff. But anyway, when the ghoul kind of reveals that, he has this great line, and I mean, great, I mean, in terms of all of the gamers out there, all of our hearts went squeak when this happened. And where Max is like, how are we going to do this? And the ghoul goes, in all my years, I've only seen one man come out on top in Vegas. And then I think Max goes, oh yeah, how'd he do that? And then the ghoul goes, we got to do it like he did. He rigged the game. And then he pulls the sheet off, right? And you see this suit of power armor. And of course, Max kind of does the nod, like, oh yeah,
it's on.
But it's on like Donkey Kong. Yeah. But anyway, that line, okay, I'm sure for someone like you who has, never played the game for a minute, you're kind of like, oh, that's interesting that he has some history with New Vegas, and he remembers stuff that happened, and just whatever. But for the gamers, that was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, because he's talking about a character that is known as the Courier.
Okay.
And the Courier is the character that you play when you play New Vegas.
Oh.
And so now, in this universe, he's saying that the Courier is a man because he refers to it as I've only seen one man come out on top. And in the game, you can be a boy or a girl.
Right.
You kind of create your character, so it could be either. But yeah, the basic setup of New Vegas, it's very much kind of got like a Bourne Identity kind of vibe to it, in that when the game starts, your character is like dragged out to the desert by these kind of like wasteland mafia guys. Mm-hmm. and they like shoot you in the back of the head execution style, and then they dump you in this like shallow grave in the sand. And then, like, true movie villains, they don't really double check their work. They just go, well, he's dead, and they leave. And you survive, okay? And you kind of claw your way out, but the bullet wound has messed up your memory, so you don't really know who you are, you don't really know where you came from, and you don't really know who shot you. It's all kind of vague, kind of flashbacky memory things that and when the game opens, it's this sort of like cutscene you just watch, and it's real dreamlike where the guys aren't in crystal clear focus, and it's sort of it could be this guy could be have dark hair, could not, you know what I mean? It's very, very dreamlike, right? And so then you start the game, and as you go through New Vegas, it's interesting because the goal is to control New Vegas, and you like have multiple ways to do it. You can join the Legion and eventually rule the Legion and use the Legion to take over, or you can join the NCR and eventually you can control the NCR, or I think you can join the cons, and I think you can join the Brotherhood again. It's been so long, and I don't remember for sure if you can or not. You can also join Robert House in the game and work with him and try and take over New Vegas. Or you can say, screw all you guys, I'm going to do it on my own and do it by yourself and not really pick an allegiance to anyone and use them. You just kind of build up your own prestige to where you will be the one in charge. It's great because it gives replayability, because there's multiple ways to win the game. Which again, gamers love. A game that you can only play once, kind of a waste of money. Game that you can play multiple times, and each one can be different. Obviously, that's desirable, right? You get more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
So anyway, the whole point though is that the fact that the ghoul mentioned, like the character you play in one of the video games was just, I mean, huge for all the gamer folk, because it's kind of like saying that New Vegas, the events in the game have already happened and they're now part of the canon of the TV show, which is crazy. But yeah, it would that moment. I mean, oh my God, I fell off the couch when he said that line because it was so clear. And then I'm like, holy crap! And then I waited till Friday, and then on Friday I went online and started looking at some of the the Reddits and things,
right,
and the message boards, and seeing what are people saying. And everyone's like, oh my God, are they going to actually mention the courier? Is that going to be next week? We're going to find out what happened to the courier in this universe and all this. So yeah, everybody was just over the moon about it, which was amazing. And I know you're like, whatever, let's just move on to my point, but it was so cool. So
no, all I was going to say is it's interesting because as someone without a background in the game, honestly, I just thought he was talking about Robert House because of how, leading all the way up to here. But hearing that there may be, because didn't we even say that it feels like there's some other person higher up? After we had been introduced to Robert House, it felt like there was still someone else up above that was giving instructions to people. So absolutely, I'd love to see who this unknown persons is. It's gonna be cool. I watched it. I was like, oh, Robert House, that makes sense. I mean, I would have no other reason to think of these other things. I just didn't have the context for them, but it sounds pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for the gamer universe, that was, and that's like the first time I think in the whole show that they've directly referenced like a player character from the game. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
So yeah,
nice, awesome. Okay, so that wraps up our number 3s. So my number 4, this is where we diverge. My number 4, there's this really great scene when Coop is trying to get the cold fusion into the hands of someone who will do the right thing with it. So he sets up this little meeting with the U.S. representative lady there, Marsh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her name?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe so, yeah.
I just want to say as a little side note, it's so precious that those two don't think that a U.S. representative, maybe she's not very well known. That's fine. She can be anonymous. He is a Hollywood star. His face is on billboards for Vault Tech. And at the moment when he took his hat off, I'm like, no, why did you take your hat off? Everybody in that place now knows that it's you that met with the U.S. representative in the, you know what I mean? I was just like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, but that was just my little side brain going, are you stupid? What is wrong with you? But they have this great meeting talking about the cold fusion, and he, talks about how the whole plan is, they're going to give the cold fusion. The plan is Vault-Tec's going to give the cold fusion to Robert House. Robert House is then going to give them the bombs. And then, Marsh is like, and the only people that'll be left will be them, which is what they want. And it's just so chilling to hear it said so, like, matter-of-factly. And then they're, putting together plans on what to do. But, she's like, I wouldn't give it to me either, because she's like, he doesn't know who she is. She's like a low-level U.S. representative. And, but he gets frustrated with her because he's like, I saw you at that, at the, American Legion Hall thing, with the, giving out the award for for his friend, what was it, Daniel, right? And he's like, his quote, which I thought was great, was, oh, why can't good people like you learn to sell it better? Just basically saying that she's a good person. She means so well, but she just can't package it correctly and make it so that she can bring people in. I put a little point there, and I don't want to get too deeply into politics, but that is something that's been leveled at a lot of the current, the people who are, I would say, left, Democrat, etc., but have also been in power for quite some time. They're just not good at messaging, and they've been given a lot of crap, especially over the last 6 to 8 months, about, you're the good people, you're fighting the good fight, but you can't, like, get it wrapped together enough in a good enough way to sort of get people on your side. And as soon as he made that comment to Representative Marsh, I was like, where have I heard things almost exactly like this currently? So yeah, I loved that scene. It's really stark, and it, like I said, like having her just slay it on the line, like, and then the only people that'll be left will be them, and that's what they want, was just really, it's difficult to listen to. But then, for him to just throw at her, why can't good people like you learn to sell it better? Because if they could, then they wouldn't have to do all this like background stuff. They could just get people on their side and maybe work through it in a much more diplomatic way than, handing off cold fusion to somebody in a car. So yeah, that's a great scene though. I love that scene between Coop and Representative Marsh. So
you know what? I looked it up. Her name is actually Welch.
Welch. I knew it had like a sound at the end. Yeah, my bad.
So, no. Hey, you know me and names. Yeah. I mean, and I had to look it up, so it's not like I like knew it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was like Marsh. You were like, yeah, that sounds correct.
I mean, how many times would we be talking about Walking Dead? And I'd be like, do you remember a couple years ago there was this character with like that weird like cowlick in her hair, and you're like Betty, and I'm like, yeah, that's her.
And you're like, Diana is crazy.
Right, but you're crazy like a fox because you know all these names, But I did enjoy that moment too, because it's sort of like saying, if you had a corporate sponsor, you would be able to get like people to come in and coach you,
on how to sell it,
and how to sell it, and you would obviously have your own makeup team and your own wardrobe team, and you would have like your personal trainer and your chef that's making sure you're eating right, so you're going to look better and you're going to be more telegenic and prepared and all. She's clearly, because she doesn't have any of that stuff, she's got to do all this on her own, and she's just sort of like, this is me. And I mean, what does she say at one point in the meeting when he's like, I need, no offense, but I need assurance. And she's like, that's okay. I wouldn't give it to me either. So I mean, she's very, very self-defeating, right? Although I gotta ask you, I think she's full of crap. I think she's clearly sponsored by somebody, right?
In the end, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, and so I was talking about this with my gamer friends today about this, who have seen it, and I have to ask you. Our thought is that she and the president are clearly in bed with the Enclave.
Yes.
That was the most likely choice. Yes. And I'm wondering if you agree?
They're in bed with someone, and it's not Vault Tech, because they want to get the cold fusion away from them. Yep. So, Robco is the only... It's not them.
It's not them.
So... Yeah. But the Enclave is who ends up with it, because they're who has it when, Fizzywig.
When Wilzig seals it.
Fizzywig.
Yeah. Fizzywig, whatever. We know what you meant.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes the most sense. It connects the most dots. So, yeah, I agree with that. I hadn't thought of it, but it's clear that they are answering to someone else again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's so great because when he hands it over to the president, and we'll talk about that scene a little later because it's one of my honorable mentions as well. Mm. It just I gotta just ask you, did it? I mean, it felt wrong, right? Like, this is way too easy.
Oh God, yes.
I was just like, Coop, come on, man, you gotta have your spidey senses tingling a little here. Yeah. That wait, something's off. Yeah. Why is the president here and there are no Secret Service guys anywhere? Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, and how about just the fact that the president's here?
Yeah, why was he there? She brings it up like, as luck would have it, and you're like, yeah, but why would luck have it? Why is he here?
Yeah. So I mean, I was just like, oh, this is a mistake, Coop. Like,
oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I did. I love that scene. That I love that they've painted that character, the representative of, like, she's like the last honest politician, right? And we see her in the previous episode where she gets kicked out of the casino and like knocked to the ground, and he's the only one that goes over to help her. Regardless of who she is, it's like, this is a woman who's just thrown down on the ground by these goons, and like everyone around them are like, whatever, and he comes over and helps her, and it's like clear that like she's like the little dog that's like barking at the big dog, you know what I mean, and just has no chance to come out on top, even though we all know, based on what we've been told about her, that she's like the good guy. She's the one that would, in Maximus's terms, do the right thing with this technology, and yet it all gets turned on its ear, right? Because they're like, poor Coop, you just can't win, dude. I'm sorry, you can't. So
yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was all of the before Time Vegas stuff was great, and we should talk about the Steph appearance.
Yeah, we will. Let's we'll get, that's in my my honorable mentions. So we'll get that. Okay. We'll get to there. But yeah, love that scene. Let's jump to your number 4 so we can keep going.
Okay. Sure. So we jump back into the current time, and the Ghoul and Thaddeus and Max have made their way back to New Vegas, and Max is in the power armor, and the Ghoul is obviously all loaded up with weapons. He takes this weapon out of a crate, and it's a plasma gun, which is straight out of the game. looks exactly like it looks there.
Yep.
When he sees it, he's like, "Hello, darling," So he's very excited by it. So he has that, and then we see Thaddeus, and he has like it looks like a kind of like a German Mauser bolt action rifle that he has. Does find a scope. He's like, "I need a scope," and so he's got a scope drilled onto it, and he's clearly going to be like their like sniper. And so there's this great scene where they walk into the town, and of course the power armor has the NCR logo on it, right?
Yep.
And the little bear and everything, and all of the people of Freeside are like, "Thank God, the NCR, yeah, we're saved."
Yeah.
Give us our town back, because they want to kill those death claws. They literally have like part of their town like barricaded up, so these death claws don't like rampage in and eat all of them. So they're like, "Thank God the NCR's back." And there's a shot of Max inside his helmet, and he's sort of like digging on, like, "Yeah, that's right, baby, we're back." And likes the adulation, and he sees like the little kid looking at him, and it's like clearly reminds him of him when the Brotherhood guys in armor rescued him when he was a kid, and so they're going in, and they're going to go into the area where the death claws are, and literally the ghoul's like, "Sniper, I want you to get up someplace high," so he can start shooting. And so Thaddeus is like, "All right," and then literally his right arm just falls right off. And he's like, "Uh-oh," and then he looks over at the ghoul, and he's like, "This is normal, right?" And the ghoul just has this look of like, "Dude, what is going on with you?" And we should point out, we kind of made fun of it in the opening. A little bit earlier, he like goes up to the ghoul, and he's like, "So I'm kind of new to this whole ghoul thing. I'm like waiting for my nose to fall off, and that's really weird." But then he's like, "This is normal, right?" And he pulls his shirt apart, and he literally has a mouth with like 3 teeth going right on his shoulder,
Yep.
And again, the ghoul kind of gives him this look like, "I have never seen that before in my life." And so, so he's clearly, and we were kind of joking about it, I think before we started, or maybe it was right at the beginning, but we were joking that it's like, clearly Thaddeus is probably not a ghoul, and is like something else. Whatever that snake oil guy gave him that fixed his foot did something else to him, and we'll have to see. But I mean, it was really funny because Max is like, "Hey, maybe you should like sit this one out," and he's like, "No, I'm good. If I can just put my finger on the trigger, I'll be fine," and he's like, "Dude, your arm fell off," and Thaddeus makes it funny, but you're just like, the poor dude, man. It's like he's literally falling apart right in front of our eyes.
And it's funny because when the arm falls too, you can't help but notice that like at the attachment point at the top of the arm, it's all like very gangrenous, and it looks like it just like died and
like
then fell off,
or something. Yeah. And it's so great because he goes, what my point, I wrote down the line is like the ghoul's like, "Sniper, I want to get you up someplace high," and then literally his arm falls off, and he's like, "I would, but I seem to be having a bit of a medical episode here."
Nice.
So that just leads into just this great scene, because then they he kind of sits it out, and they go in, and we see Thaddeus or Maximus fight the death claws, and he is slicing and dicing with this new power armor, and I love it because he's like, "What's the plan?" And the ghoul's like, "I want you to get in between me and anything that looks like that," and he points out a death claw. That's the plan, Max takes on the death claws, and the ghoul goes into Robert House's casino, the Lucky 38.
Yep.
And we get that great scene where he goes up to the penthouse, and again, I'm sure it's all PTSD for the ghoul that he's back there, right? And after we saw the before time stuff when he was in there, when before everything happened.
Yeah.
And he powers up the cold fusion in the penthouse
Yes.
there, the one thing that Robert House was unable to do.
Uh-huh.
And then when it powers up and works, the big monitor screen that we saw comes to life. And when he first comes in there, it's still there, and it says like no signal displayed. So it's like clearly it still works, but there's just nothing's being beamed into it. And then it kind of powers up, and there's Robert House, and he goes, "Hello, old chum."
I love the wording too. Like the old chum is just such a great way to put it.
Oh yeah, so cool. But yeah, I thought that was that whole sequence though, where he fights the death claws. That was kind of like our action stuff for the most part. I mean, you get a little bit with Lucy, but this is really kind of the blood and guts bit of the episode.
Yeah. Oh, so well done, so well done. So speaking of blood and guts, my number 5. Our number 5s are kind of intertwined a little, but
Oh yeah.
First things first, before we get to the scene you talk about, the catalyst has got to be that Chet is doing the dishes, and he's like, what is going on? There's something stuck in the... And he pulls out of their disposal unit. He pulls out... It's literally Woody's glasses.
Oh no!
And he's
Woody!
like, he just is like, what is? And he tries to like do the whole, hey, have you seen Woody lately? Like very casual. And Steph is just not having it. She's like, obviously, you don't read my memos, So apparently,
she's like, nobody seems to have heard my announcement or whatever she says. Yeah.
So she's like, he was sent for a management / some kind of training thing to Vault 31. And as soon as she says that, I'm like, oh yeah, he's dead. He's dead.
Oh yeah, dead as a doornail.
Yeah, because we know that there's nothing in 31, other than a dead, brain on a Roomba in the corner, and then all the pods are empty, and then that's it. So yeah. Woody's glasses, poor Woody. Oh,
I know,
poor guy.
Poor Woody. Yeah. I love it too because Chet's like, I saw the poster about our wedding tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Because she's like, Chet, like she got irritated about something, and he's like, so we're getting married. I am so excited, and it just to like take her off of the train. It's just so well done. It's a great scene. But it's another moment. It's exactly like the moment where he finds the ID, the Canada ID, because we know what he knows. We know he knows, and it's all like seeing him realize things in his head, and he doesn't have anyone to talk to about it. And he was there when Woody, when he, like, accused Steph of things. And now Woody's gone, and Woody's glasses are in there. And he's, like, making all the connections, and you see it happening in his head. And he's like, oh, my God, we're getting married. Like, what is happening? And the poor guy. I have so much sympathy for Chet.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
And I know, like, your scene, like, we were talking about, like, will Chet come through? Like, will he, because that's the big question. Will he have enough, chutzpah to fight? But, he's been such a coward about so many things. It's been difficult to know if he's gonna. But on your point, let's talk about your number 5.
Yes. This scene, I mean, there are a lot of great scenes in this episode, but this, I rolled off the couch laughing at this scene. I just thought it was so wonderful, where and we should point out that Steph does get this like keepsake box of Hank's earlier. Betty, like the water shortage is so bad that they're not allowed to take showers or flush the toilets anymore, right? Yep. And so she like has no choice. So she opens the safe in the overseer's office and gives this keepsake box, and basically gets, I think, what does she want? Like half of Vault 32's water, isn't that access to?
Yep.
It's like they're gonna split their water or something, and I love it where she's like, whatever you're planning, Steph, I don't want any part of it, and Steph's like, hey, it's just us now, Bet. And the whole thing, right?
Yep.
But so we cut to the wedding, and they're in there, they've got all, she's in her wedding dress, and he's still in the blue jumpsuit thing, and I think Davy is the minister, right? And he's having the ceremony, and she says I do, and then he goes to Chet and said, Chet, do you take Steph to be your lawfully wedded wife? And he goes, I do not. And then Davey keeps going like, well, then on the power message, and then everyone kind of goes, oh, and it's so funny because Chet is like working his way up to it, and then immediately he's like, maybe we just need to keep going, or you know what I mean? He kind of like chickens out and loses his nerve, and of course they're holding hands, and you can see that Steph is like digging her claws into his hands and like, Chet, what are you doing? And all this.
Chet.
And so then finally Chet, he like literally he kind of gets to the point of no return, right? Where he's like, it's now or never. And so he goes, no. And then everyone, and he's like, he goes, it just seemed like the only time I was going to have a lot of, witnesses around, which I thought was awesome. He goes, to say, I think that Steph is part of some kind of plan to hurt us. I don't know what exactly, but I don't think Woody is in Vault 31. I think that Steph hurt him. I found his glasses in our garbage disposal. And then everyone's like, oh, this big, big exhale. And then Davy's like, that's a serious allegation. Do you still have these glasses? And then he's like, no, I
put them back.
I put them back in the garbage disposal. And you're just like, oh, Chet, what'd you do, man? And then Steph kind of like gets this little sly smile, like, I'm okay. I'm gonna wiggle out of this.
And Davey even jumps in and he's like, cold feet happens to everybody, and he goes to like continue.
Yeah, just like let's just smooth over this. Never happened. Let's keep going. And then that's when Chet like goes to his heavy artillery and lets her have it with both barrels. When he goes, Steph was not born in Vault 31. She's 200 years old, and the people are like, oh, well, that's not too bad. I mean, 200, that's a lot, but I guess we get it. And then he goes, and she's not even from America. She's Canadian. And they just are like, oh!
They're so shocked. It's all very pearl clutching.
Oh, my God. I watched that. I rewound it and watched that sequence like 3 times and just laughed.
The best part is Davy's reaction. He's in the back like shaking his head because he's so he's like disappointed, and it's great.
Oh my God, yeah, it's just so hilarious and what a great a point to kind of tie in the flashbacky stuff with the internment camp and all that stuff. We see that these Vault people, they're not like shocked and horrified that Steph is 200 years old and was from the before time. What really sets them off is that she's Canadian.
I know, I love it. I love it.
It's so great, right? And so she goes running to like the overseer's office and locks herself in, and you hear Chet and everyone else outside, and they're like, "Let us in, let us in,"
Yep.
And so and she's literally got her head in her hands, like, "Oh my God, what do I do now?"
Yep.
That was the greatest scene of the whole show for me. I again, all the cool Lucy stuff, which by the way neither of us bothered to talk about, to put into our points. I thought that was fun. Obviously the combat stuff with the death claws was great, and all of the coup and the footage, but this sequence was fantastic. So I so great, so funny, and so great.
And like visually, the look of Steph running in the wedding dress and looking over her shoulder. She even has like a white eye patch done so that it matches her whole wedding attire. It's adorable. So just that whole imagery of her running and looking over her shoulder, and they're like, get her. It's so well done. So well done.
Yeah, and it harkens back to the beginning when she's running for her life, from the Americans.
Yeah. So since we're still since we're talking about Steph, then let's take this moment to talk about one of my honorable mentions. I want to make sure we talk about Steph's scene where she's the hotel maid, which is great because, we go from Steph crossing the border and killing this guy. She's just totally like, no qualms, just kills this guy, no big deal. And then the next moment we see her is in this hotel room with Coop, and she's the one that Coop, like, he pays her a little money on the side, and he just explains it as, hey, this guy's staying in another room, and he got drunk in our room. If I help you, can you just get him back to his room? And he, like, gives her a little money to keep it quiet. Yeah. And he's like, I'm so sorry, this must happen all the time. She's like, you don't even know. And then she recognizes him from the, all the advertisements for the vaults and with Vault Tech and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, how's a pretty girl like me earning minimum wage get into one of the vaults? And he basically tells her, talk to that guy right there, and
well, he says, I just do the marketing. And then she's like, well, then how can I get a job at Vault Tech?
Yes.
And that's when he goes, talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And so again, that's where I'm like, oh my God, she slept with Hank.
Yeah. That and the intimation is obviously, cause we see, Claudia, when she's talking in the current times with Norm, she was hired a week before and she was given a space in the vaults. I mean, sure, it was with Bud's Buds, and she was there like having a different purpose or whatever, but still it's like, this may explain how, Steph is able to get in there. She gets to Vault Tech, gets a job somehow, weasels her way in, and that's how she gets in there, and he tells her, do you want to live forever? Do you want to help me out with this I'm not sure what the sell is. I really hope we get that scene where we see how it is that Hank allows for her to be put into one of the vaults. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't you think that Steph is like exactly the type of candidate that Bud is looking for?
Yes.
I mean, she is, I'm sure in her like interviews and things to get hired, she just, like they're like, oh my God, this woman's ruthless and, ambition and drive and, will do whatever it takes. Literally anything, she will kill for this job,
Yep.
Just ask her, she will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that they clearly recognize she has a lot of traits that they're looking for this like young enterprisers or whatever that acronym was that Bud was working on.
Yeah.
And they like her so much that they're willing to kind of overlook the whole Canadian thing. And just put her in, right? I mean, it has to be, but I agree with you. I want to see that scene. I want to see her, how, we kind of know clearly it's going to be through Hank and then from Hank to Bud, but how?
Yeah.
Give us more.
Yeah.
Give us more, please. So.
Looking forward to getting that scene. And the only other honorable mention I had was I loved that moment where after they've sort of suited up and get ready to go, take on New Vegas, the Ghoul, Maximus, and Thaddeus, and they go. I love that moment where they sort of turn the corner and they're like it's slow motion walking down the street, and everybody's looking at them, and Maximus he's so precious. He's like, why are they looking at us? Like, what is happening? Yeah. And the Ghoul says, never underestimate the power of brand recognition.
Oh, yeah.
And then the camera goes to the part of his outfit where this originally was a Marine Corps piece of machinery, but then on the front of it is spray painted, like stenciled in there, that it's an NCR stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the part that he meant when he said brand recognition. And then as then everybody's like, yeah, New California Republic, blah blah blah, they're back. And they're not there for any reason that has to do with New California Republic, but it helps sway the court of public opinion. They're all marching along and helping out, and it's just this great moment. And for the Ghoul to make that comment when he's done commercials, he's lent his name and his face to so many different things, and then also because of the Vault-Tec stuff, he lent his face to that stuff too, and he became a brand. And so he totally understands what that power is. And, he called it like he sees it. Never underestimate the power of brand recognition. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, yeah. That whole sequence was really great. And, literally Maximus like, why are they cheering?
He doesn't get it.
Yeah. And I should point out, just as a gamey thing, one of the things you can do with the power armor is you can paint it multiple colors and different units. You can have it be the Marines. You can have there's like skins you can download where you can like have it like be painted like Nuka-Cola colors and Blammo mac and cheese colors, and it's amazing all the looks you can have your power armor be. And so the NCR, you're right, it's like they got that old suit from the US military and they just painted it to their colors with the bear symbol and the NCR and all that.
Yeah.
I love that if you look at on the helmet, there are 6 notches, the 4 and then the line through it and then another one. And it's like, clearly that's like the number of kills that the old guy that wore the suit had, had racked up. So that sequence was super cool. No doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's all of my honorable mentions. Let's chat about, you got a couple that you included in there we should talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we do that, though, I want to go back to the Woody's glasses thing, and I just want to point out to everyone that I had massive PTSD finger trauma occur when Chet sticks his hand into that freaking
garbage disposal.
Oh my God, I almost couldn't watch.
I totally thought he was gonna grind his fingers, or that or Steph was gonna come up and turn it on, or something like that. I was like,
right, yeah.
It's amazing.
I gotta tell you,
but that's how tension works, man.
I know, but I'm just like, this is my thing. It's just my, Indiana Jones snakes. It's like garbage disposal. Why did it have to be garbage disposal?
Finger trauma. Why?
Yeah. Oh, I know. So I just want to people. It's real. I need a support group like Reg offers for the Vault. I need someone to talk to, and mostly to eat snacks, but definitely someone to talk to. I just wanted to point that out because it was real and I did experience it. But yeah, my honorable mention, my first one was, holy crap, Clancy Brown.
Yep.
How great was that appearance? Again, another iconic genre actor, right? I mean, he's, oh my God, whether it's Highlander or Buckaroo Banzai or Starship Troopers, or he does several of the voices in the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and the dude's got an amazing career, and the fact that they got him for again, that had to be like a day on a set, maybe. Yeah. The one scene as the president in the limo. Yep. It's, oh my God, that was so cool. I just incredible pull, the ability of this show to get these people to take these, at least so far, to be seemingly very, very small little cameo type roles. I don't think we're going to see Joan anymore, right? I don't think Nastasia Henstridge is going to be doing a lot more flashbacky stuff with Steph. Maybe, but I don't think you can count on that.
No.
And how much is the president going to be there? Maybe he's going to be in more. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I thought that was super cool because the whole time I'm like, because they kind of hide who the president is.
Yes.
In that scene, Coop kind of gets into the limo and sits down, and Welch is there, and he's sitting next to her, and then he starts talking to the president, but you don't see him, and then I think you hear him first, and then it cuts to him, and it's like, oh my God, it's Clancy Brown, so yeah, it's just like, oh, so yeah, I thought that was super cool, and then my other one is. Again, we didn't really talk about the Lucy stuff, but she's still in the Vault-Tec area with Hank, and she gets him to show him like the mainframe computer that controls all the neck chips, and he kind of explains a little bit about how they work and how the computer kind of the chip kind of clears out the memory, and then the mainframe kind of puts in new stuff for them, which is why they're so pleasant and they do their jobs and all that stuff. And Lucy kind of looks like she's buying into it a little, where she's like, you could use these guys to stop the Legion, and stop the bloodshed. And he's like, yeah, I could, right? And then of course it's all a ruse, and she ends up like handcuffing him to the stove, and she takes his Pip-Boy, and she goes back down there, and she opens, because the mainframe's in this like vault down in the basement, and there's some hilarious scenes of her driving the golf cart, which were great, right? And she gets down there, and she opens up this door. She's a smart cookie. She uses his Pip-Boy to open the door because she figures correctly he's got access to it, right? Yep. And she goes in, and this is kind of intercut with the Coop in the limo with the president scene. Yeah. Right, where we get a little bit of him talking to the president, we get a little bit of Lucy going on this odyssey to do all this, and it kind of culminates with Coop hands the cold fusion to the president, and he's like, "You did the right thing, son." And you're just like, oh no, he didn't, right? And the door opens, and she comes in, and there's a desk, and on the desk is this like big glass jar, and in the jar is Welch's severed head. Yep. And if you look, she's wearing the like crazy Back to the Future weirdo helmet that Robert House was wearing in the previous episode. The sort of like everything's being beamed into my brain, and like the jar's filled with liquid, and she has like a tube running into her mouth, so it almost looks like the head is still alive or conscious, but the pupils are completely white, and so it's very weird, and Lucy is very much like, oh my God, what is that? And my comment was like, a head in a jar. That's like one of my favorite Cure songs.
Yeah.
But anyway, just a bizarre ending, right? But it kind of helps. I think it helps accentuate the point of Coop chose poorly.
Yes.
I mean, I think we kind of knew that anyway, because obviously the war happens anyway,
of course,
right? It's not like the bombs don't drop, but this whole idea of, the president is going to get cold fusion out to everyone and make this whole idea of fighting over resources, irrelevant, obviously does not work at all. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the head in the jar. Is it going to talk? Is it going to be able to do stuff? What's going on? What did you think of that whole bit?
Well, it's crazy because it's like right at the end of the episode, so you really don't have a lot of time to sort of absorb what's happening, and it's also done in conjunction with, it's happening at the same time as Coop going into, Robert House's little area there, that was, what opened where he put in the cold fusion and everything. So like Lucy's opening doors, Coop is opening doors, he's putting in the cold fusion, she sees, you know what I mean? Like all of this is happening all at once. So you're sort of like taking in all the information. But what makes me more interested is, you were just talking about, Marsh and Welsh, sorry, jeez, man, Welsh and, Coop made the wrong choice. Again, that's what this is showing. But here's another thing. We were talking before about how it's clear that, the president, and also by connection, Walsh as well, they are working for someone else. And you said that you and the gamer guys agreed that it's probably the Enclave. So here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked last week about how do we get from, Coop and Barb are trying to help each other. Coop is trying to get the cold fusion away. All this is happening. But Barb and Janie end up in the vault still, even though as the bombs are dropping, in that memory we've seen, Janie is with Coop. So we were talking about, like, well, how does that happen? How did Janie and Barb get into the vaults? How does that all happen? How does it all come together? And it's a valid question. But even further is, we know Barb and Janie are in the vault where Hank is. So it's a Vault-Tec vault. But the whole thing is being powered through a mainframe, which is connected, strangely, to Walsh. So if Walsh's head is there, and the cold fusion ended up with the Enclave anyway, which we were talking about with Wilzig, etc., my question is, like, how... If Barb and Coop gave cold fusion over to somebody else and Vault-Tec didn't end up with it, how did Barb still stay in their good graces enough to be able to be put in the vault and cared for by, and Hank is looking after them, quote unquote. I don't know. It just, it adds more layers, And I agree with you. Like we were saying that there's some other, someone up above House and everybody else that's like playing the marionette strings, and it may be some person we still haven't met yet. And if it's someone from the Enclave, that would be crazy. But it's also like, I still have questions on how Barb and Janie end up in a Vault-Tec vault. Yeah. Like where, so I don't know that we're going to get answers next week. I think there's so many things to sort of propel forward. I don't think we're going to get that answer. I think that's a next season kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's the overall, like that's one of the things I thought of was I was like, okay, well, if she's working for someone else, Walsh, that is, how does she end up with Hank in that mainframe room? Like, how does this happen? And of course, Lucy was probably feeling guilty about like, I linked my dad to the oven or whatever. She took off the one of the handcuffs. Yeah, one of the cuffs. And it looked like she was going to help him, but she just, puts it onto the stove so that he's attached to the oven and he can't get out of the room. She takes the Pip-Boy and she goes. But I'm sure because she's Lucy and she's a good person, she's feeling guilty about that or whatever. Then she gets into that mainframe room and the first thing she sees, oh my God, is a head. Now she has to take that information and add that to the long list of crazy things that her dad's been involved in. And so I can't wait to see how this, first of all, what does it do? How does it affect Lucy moving forward? And also, will we learn more about like, why is her head there? What is important about it? What is happening there?
Yeah.
So
what? Yeah. Just on some of your questions, I think it's possible that Barb is able to kind of stay out of the whole what happened to the cold fusion thing. And so she kind of stays in, like maybe she is like, maybe they decide to, that's why they get divorced, is to sell the idea that, she, Coop did it on his own. And so, that, you know what I mean? So that way, like, it's sort of like they realize that, oops, you know what? We gave the cold fusion to the wrong people because it's there's no big announcement. There's no, hey, everyone, we got cold fusion and the war's over. It's, none of that happens. And so the plan is still moving forward for, the end of the world. And so they're like, we have to protect Janie. How do we do that? Well, we have to make it look like I didn't, that Barb didn't know what was going on and didn't help him and wasn't a part of it. So that's why they get divorced. But they're still together, but they have to pretend like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a reason. It also could be that, they're taken. Right.
Yeah.
That the Voltec, like Hank is, and Voltec wants vengeance, and that's why they grab them.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain how Janie gets in there, because as we see, Janie is with him when the actual bombs drop. So you're right. There's still several pieces to the puzzle that have not been even put out on the board yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely so. It definitely raises more questions seeing her head, as it should.
Yeah.
Like when you see someone's severed head, it should raise questions.
Yeah. For me, usually I'm just like, cool.
Yeah. Head in a jar. Yeah.
Like I said, it's my favorite Cure song.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And we already talked about your last point there, I think.
Yeah, that's just the big 51. It just, again, this is, I as much as we love the logo sequence of each episode, I'm really digging when the episode ends, they give you about 30 seconds or so of an animated sequence while the credits start rolling, and then eventually it fades to black. And this one, like we said, it literally is traveling. It starts out on the Canadian side of the border and it travels into the American side, and you see all the signs that say "Welcome to Canada," and there's like a Canadian Mountie, and they've graffitied and spray painted over it and said the United States, and then you see there's several people, corpses that look like they're wearing Canadian Mountie uniforms that have been hung and are hanging from the border fence gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come in and there's a big sign that says you are now leaving Canada, and someone has spray painted over Canada with the words "the big 51," right, which is the 51st state, which as I said is obviously completely preposterous and could never happen in real
absolute
life,
ridiculousness. No sane politician would bring it up.
Would ever propose it. Yeah, there's just no way.
Emphasis on sane. So, yeah, take that as you
sane, healthy, whatever you
narcissist,
your
megalomaniac, none of those things.
Yeah, right. None of those things. Yes. Anyway, I just really was digging that sort of closing animation for the whole season, because it's been really fun, and it kind of it doesn't really reveal little things about the episode, little Easter eggs, but it does have little bits that kind of help fill in the general picture of the wasteland, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So
they're really great. I think I covered all my points in my honorable mentions, and I think you did too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
the only thing that I would add or say is that we got to get more of the Norm storyline, because there was precious little Norm, and it wasn't good. I mean, he got brained by a big award metal piece
yes.
At one point, but Claudia comes back and she's gonna help him, or try to.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
Yep.
And but I mean, Ronnie at one point, because he's talking to some of his buddies, and he's like, I think it actually says in the Voltec handbook that if they're disloyal to the company, we can kill them. And the one guy's like, well, if it's in the handbook,
yeah. If you're kind of sure, then yeah, absolutely. And then when he stirs a little bit, he's like, oh man, he woke up, so this means we're gonna have to kill him. And isn't that so inconvenient?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I mean, let's be honest. It still doesn't look great for Norm.
It's not looking good.
No, but there's that weird kind of crossover moment where she unties him, and he's like, "There's something I have to do before we leave," and he gets on the shortwave radio that remember the guy was in the communications group where Ronnie's like, "Hey, fix it, get it working."
Yep.
And Norm gets on, and he starts broadcasting. He's like, Lucy, this is Norm, if you can hear me. Yeah. And right when he's doing that, we see Lucy driving by in the golf cart by the communications portion of the Vault-Tec vault,
Yep.
and you hear him. He's coming through. It's a very strange setup because Norm really doesn't know everything about his dad. Right.
Yep.
And he talks to his dad after he tries to reach Lucy, and he's just like, Dad, why didn't you tell us the truth?
Yeah.
But he doesn't really know.
Yeah, he doesn't know the extent.
All of
yeah.
Yeah, and so again, it was an interesting little crossover. But like I said, I really hope we get more of Norm, and I mean, obviously they've got to resolve at least enough of that storyline that we know that Norm isn't with Woody.
Yeah. Oh God, that's the new phrase for mysterious disappearance, most likely dead.
Yeah, most likely dead.
We're
with Woody. Yeah, you got Woody.
Oh,
oh no.
Oh.
And we're not talking Toy Story Woody either here, people.
All right, so we are then going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss our listener feedback we received and what's coming up next on the podcast.
So everyone, please stick around. We will be right back.
Now there's about 20 of them out there.
What will we do?
Don't worry, we're safe in here. They'll never get in.
Why is it that in every zombie story, people always think that their safe haven is invulnerable?
I know. It's like, hello, the walkers are totally gonna get in. You better get ready for it.
No! Diane, get behind me. No, it's not stopping.
Do something, Jack!
And another thing, how come nobody in a zombie story has ever seen a zombie story?
Do you know how much time in human life would be saved if just one person in the group was up on the genre?
What do we do?
Aim for the head.
What?
Aim for the head.
You heard them. Aim for the head.
Quick, Diane, I think we should try and fix the barricades.
I think we should listen to them.
Now, that's the first good idea they've had all episode.
I still don't think they're gonna make it.
Aim for the Head, a horror apocalypse entertainment podcast. Join hosts Diana and Steve as they recap and discuss the best of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and apocalyptic entertainment. Aim for the Head, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Hi, this is Tom Savini, and you're listening to the Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head because body shots just don't work.
Hey everybody, we're back. We're going to go ahead and get started with our listener feedback for this episode. So first off, we got some feedback from the ever stalwart Erica Price. Can always depend on her. It's kind of like Death, Taxes, Erica Price feedback.
It's inevitable.
It is. It's always inevitable.
And one out of those three things is really cool.
Yeah.
Death.
Yeah. And I mean, except for she did miss the 1 week. So.
Right, but she had at least an attempt at an excuse. So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how good it was, but we'll reassess later and we'll see. So Erica wrote in via the Facebooks, and she says, you brought up a good point last week about Coop and Janie. How were they separated at the time of the bombing so that she ended up in a Las Vegas vault? This has bugged me all this time. You are welcome. I'm so glad I brought it up.
I'm glad that now you cannot sleep because of something that we said.
Yes. I do think too, when I talked about it last, I think it might also be this might just be an unreliable memory of Coop's, like maybe a nightmare he had where what if it had happened this way and I got stuck with Janie out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. But we'll see. She says, read this in the Winnie the Pooh, oh bother voice. Oh, Canada. It's true. I feel bad. Poor Canada. We've treated them so badly. Have either of you watched Pluribus? I have not yet. It's on the list. Did you watch Pluribus yet?
No, it's on Apple TV, and I don't pay for Apple TV. So I have heard about it, but I have also not heard about it. So I don't know all about what it's about, but
Yeah.
I have some ideas. I absolutely adore Rhea Seehorn, so I want to watch it. I just don't want to pay for it. So, and I think like right now, like 1 or 2 episodes I think is available on like Amazon to stream or something,
Yeah.
maybe Netflix or something. But I have not even watched that because I think that's just obviously that's just a honeypot to get you to pay.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no, I would rather not watch any of it and have no idea about it than to watch a couple and be like, oh, it's really
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
but I have heard it's amazing things. She won an Emmy for it. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's fantastic. And I know it's definitely genre related and so on. But no, I have not.
I think what'll happen, because I'm in exactly the same boat. It's on Apple. I don't have it, and I'm really trying to limit the subscription services where I can.
Yeah, me too.
But I have noticed that Netflix at least has been doing this whole like, it's almost like a new form of syndication where like series that were on HBO, that were on AMC, that were on these other paid services are now, once the season is done and gone and they've made all of their revenue out of it, they then sort of give rights over to Netflix to show, like, say, a first season, and then it's like, you want to watch the second season, then go, it's another tactic to sort of draw people in and get them to be like, oh, I don't know if I can wait that long for it to be on Netflix when season 2 comes out, so I'll go ahead and get Apple TV so that I can watch season 2. So it's all a sales ploy, but it's possible that season 1 could show up somewhere where we can watch it on a service we already have. So maybe that's possible. So keep your eyes out. So anyway, so she makes her point saying, have either of you watched Pluribus? Hank's minions here, the ones with the little things on the back of their necks, remind me of the others in Pluribus. Okay, well, obviously there must be some sort of automated person in Pluribus, or Stepford people, as it were. I love that the NCR mascot is a two-headed bear.
Yep.
Thaddeus wants to be Coop's friend so badly. Steph is sure moving to the ladder quick. I read that a couple of times, and I'm wondering if she meant Steph is moving up the ladder quick. I don't know.
That's what I took from it. Yeah. Because I mean, we've both watched that episode multiple times, and Steph does not go anywhere near a ladder in the episode. So I'm like, I don't know what she means. So that's my guess. Yes, that she's moving up the ladder. Because think about it, she goes from like, internment camp escapee to like head of a vault.
Yeah, no kidding.
In like a week for her.
Yeah, exactly. So she continues on and says, I really hope Chet goes in search of Woody. Wow, I hope Norm survives the buds. They really are the worst. They are. This bit of the three
except
amigos.
For Claudia.
I know. This bit of the three amigos going to the NCR stash to arm up is very gamey and perfection. Ooh.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Whoever decided the Ghoul musical theme as a bunch of discordant yodeling was brilliant. I love it. If you guys didn't know, the soundtrack is done by, never going to be able to say his name right, but it's like Raheem Dawali. He did the soundtrack for, he did all the music for Game of Thrones. He did it for Westworld, which is why he's probably involved here, because the creators were involved with Westworld as well.
And Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. So he just comes up with these themes that are just wonderful. I mean, think about that opening theme to Westworld that you heard over and over, plus being involved with like putting the music together in the episodes, etc. But yeah, I love that theme for the Ghoul. It's amazing. Discordant yodeling. There we go. Thaddeus' arm just falls off after he wishes his nose would fall off. Hilarious. Oh, thank God, Lucy changed clothes. Yeah, we don't have to look at that bloodstain anymore. Yay, Claudia. Yay, Chet. You finally got your balls out of Steph's purse. I love it. Oh my God, it's Welsh's head. House has been reduced to a computer program. Not surprised. This was a great penultimate episode. So much happened. the thing I love too, we didn't really talk a lot about the Lucy stuff, but her changing out and being in that dress, as soon as they showed the dress, I was like, that is what she'll be wearing when she sees Max again for the first time in like however long it's been since they, left each other's sight. And it's just going to be like she walks around the corner and there's like a light behind her, and when she changed into it, I was like, oh yeah, this is happening. Mm-hmm. Plus the image of her, in the dress is when she's going to be doing stuff to like kick ass and like beat the shit out of people is going to be amazing. I can't wait. It'll be just like the wedding scene. Because she was in the wedding gown and she was like totally kicking ass.
Oh yeah. What I just love is that you get Ella Purnell out of the unitard jumpsuit.
Yep.
And you let her take a shower, and then you put her in this dress and you're like, damn, I mean, she looked good, and that was a very conservative like 1950s styled dress.
For sure.
It was not like a micro mini skirt or anything like that. I mean, but still, it was just like, wow.
I love it. And what's great too is as soon as you see it, you're like, oh, that dress is totally going to get dirty.
Oh yeah. It blood spattered or something. Right. You're right. It almost like tied into something that I said earlier is that the show kind of it tries to fool us into thinking that maybe she's like seeing her dad's point of view on some of these things.
Yeah.
Because like before the dress was out and she's like, yeah, like I'm gonna put that on, and she just walks out in her blood-stained, muddy, jumpsuit and the white T-shirt and everything, right? And now here she is, and she not only has she cleaned herself up, she's in this nice outfit, and you're like, uh-oh, are you starting to drink the Kool-Aid here or what? But as we have said, Lucy's a smart cookie and was all part of her scheme. So good for you, Lucy.
She's a smarty.
She is.
Lots of great points, lots of great information in there, Erica. I'm glad that the Janie getting into the vault thing worries you as well. I hope maybe we'll get a little bit more tidbit about that in the next episode, but I really fear there's so many things to sort of get squished into that. I really think we're going to start seeing a lot of that stuff in the next season.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But thanks for writing in, as usual, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're happy for Chet and his balls.
His balls.
Yes. So
thank you.
Thanks so much, Erica. Always great. We love it. All right, so we got a piece of feedback here, and this came in via the Instagram. Wow,
it's been a while since we've had some Instagram feedback.
Must be from one of those crazy kids out there. Yeah. And this is from Emily P. from NE, so I'm pretty sure that's one of your old peeps.
She's one of my peoples.
Yeah, she's one of your peoples. And she said, and she's posting off of one of our images for the episode that you put up there. And she goes, I was a little afraid that they were going to whiff it, that she was going to deny it, and the congregation was not going to fully believe him. But I was pleasantly surprised. And I believe the picture was the wedding picture that we had posted.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely,
and yes, and she's referring to Steph and Chet and of course Chet's balls and all that stuff. So, I thought so too. I thought that Chet was gonna not just he was gonna try and stand up for himself and then kind of just go, I'm sorry, and meek out, right? Which is what he's done so far. But no, Chet did it.
Yeah, he sure did. I'm very proud of him. I'm proud of him and his balls. He did a good job. So nice to hear from you, Emily. I wasn't aware you were a listener. So yay.
Well, I mean,
send in feedback
first
for the
of
next
all,
episode.
You shouldn't take any credit for it. I'm sure it's all because of me. All right.
I guarantee it's because of you. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with anything.
No.
And this will be great, too, because if memory serves, Emily and I have the same birthday.
No.
Yes. And so I can put in an early happy birthday to Emily coming up this weekend. So happy birthday, Em.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Well done. All right. So moving on, we also got a very short and sweet bit of feedback from Karen, not related to Lauren Cohen, via the Facebooks. And she put, oh man, Thaddeus and his shoulder mouth. Which now I will forever have to call it that, shoulder
It's
mouth.
a shoulder mouth.
And then she just says, his arm! Exclamation point. Lots of good stuff. That's all I've got for now. Cheers. I mean, really, do you need to expound on that? I mean, shoulder mouth, really, that's what the episode description should have been.
It should have been that, yeah. Everybody needs a shoulder mouth.
Where everybody needs it's like a bosom for a pillow. You need a shoulder mouth to lean on.
The episode description should have been a shoulder mouth and a head in a jar.
Yeah.
And Chet's balls.
And finger trauma.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
Thanks for writing in, Karen. Short and sweet, but man, shoulder mouth is gonna be the phrase that's sweeping the nation now. We'll make sure of it.
I like it. I like it.
I do too. Coming up next week, as promised, it is the I Cannot Believe We're Here season finale. Season 2 finale. The title of the episode is The Strip. And we know that everything's been sort of leading up to this battle on the Las Vegas Strip for, them trying to get Lucy back and all this other stuff. So clearly this is going to be like the gunfight, the OK Corral, or some kind of Mexican standoff, or whatever kind of cowboy shootout, sort of, imagery you would like to use. It's fine.
You really wonder what, if Hank, if the ghoul runs into Hank, how is that gonna go? Because Hank's got some leverage.
He got the ultimate leverage. So next week we'll be talking about episode 8, The Strip. And again, like we were talking about for last week's episode, the episodes have typically been dropping on Wednesday, but they are going to drop this finale a little bit early, so it should be available in the evening, Tuesday evening. So we're recording now, it's Monday night, so that would mean tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that I will have time to get to it tomorrow, because I am busy on Wednesday evening, so I certainly hope I'll have time to do it tomorrow. I'm very excited. Make sure you watch a couple of times, whatever. Send us your feedback. Let us know what you thought of episode 8. Let us know what you thought of the whole season. What were your favorite moments this season? Was there anything you were disappointed in? So let it all hang out. Let us know what you thought. We will send out some social media posts and make sure that you let us know. We want the feedbacks, people. Send it in.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to hear it. Like you said, I can't believe that we're already at the end. I mean, it just
I know.
As long and never ending as January was, particularly for us
like a
here.
Year.
I mean, I think Saturday was actually like January 46. I mean, it was like that long. It at the same time, this season just flew by.
It did. It moved so fast. Yeah. I can't believe we're here already. What's great too is you guys have a little bit of extra time as well, because we do normally record on Monday evenings, but we are going to record a little bit later next week for the finale, because Steve is coming back from a trip out of town. So we're going to record. We're looking at Tuesday night right now. Hopefully that stays. And so where are you going, Steve? What you doing in LA next weekend?
I'm going to warmth. That's what I'm doing.
The rest of it is immaterial.
It doesn't really matter. Whatever I'm doing out there is secondary. It's the fact that it's going to be like, in the 70s. And I mean, it's going to be so great. Usually the last couple years for longer term listeners here will know that we get to February. There is a big Doctor Who convention that I get my nerdism on over in Los Angeles. It's called Gallifrey 1. And this is the 36th year that they've held it, so long time.
Unbelievable.
And actually, they've announced that Gallifrey 38, which is 2 away from here, is going to be the last one that they're doing.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to end it. Look, they're going to basically there'll be like a new show will spring up from like the remnants of it. And the reason why they're doing it is that the people that are running it now are because they've been doing it since it started 30 years ago. They're now older and are like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's a lot of work, right?
I don't blame them.
So they're just like, look, they're going to want to go out on top on their own terms. And so, yeah, so this is one of the last ones. It's a really big show. They get all kinds of great guests. And so, yeah, we're flying out there. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we're coming back on Monday. So that was going to interrupt our normal recording. So we're going to record on Tuesday. But it's going to be really fun. Millie Gibson, who was a companion on the most recent season, where the Doctor was played by Ncuti Gatwa. He is, you will probably recognize him. He was the Black Ken in the Barbie movie. And he is unbelievably talented and amazeballs cool. She was his companion on one of the more recent seasons. So she's going to be there. And then just a bunch of, old British people that you people probably would not recognize. So, but it's going to be amazing. We're going to be a lot of fun. We always have a good time going out there. Much like the horror fans, the Doctor Who fans are like the nicest and most friendly and most accepting and tolerant people you'll ever meet. So,
it's gonna be great. You're gonna have a great time because it's twofold. Threefold. It's hang out with friends. Mm-hmm. It's do a nerd convention, and dude, 74.
74 to 81 is the low and the high. I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, thank God. So.
You look forward to sweating for the first time in months.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so good.
It's going to be great. And when we chat next week, maybe we'll get like a play-by-play, a little bit of, a distillation of everything that happened. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. After we're finished covering Fallout next week, look in a couple of weeks, then we're going to ask for you guys to go back. We have to go back. And rewatch some episodes and get your brain ready for diving back in to Hawkins, Indiana, and talking about the final season of Stranger Things. We're pretty excited to get into it and talk to you guys about it. We'll cover, one of those episodes per week, and we'll just stretch and spread it out. And we look forward to doing that. So yeah, give it a couple weeks from now, and when we're ready to go, we'll let you guys know, put out some socials, and get some feedback going and rolling from you.
Yeah, so, gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I know. Anything else we should chat about before we wrap it up for this week?
No, I can't. I don't think so. I'm trying to. There's something in the back of my mind that I saw that was announced, but I can't remember what it is. So let's just say no.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So that's going to do it for us this week, folks. We look forward to chatting about the finale next week. But until then, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
And don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because those body shots, they just don't work.
To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed.
Because I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And so
what was that again?
What
was that reaction again?
It was just kind of a ooh, ooh, ooh.